Hello and welcome to this videocast. My name is Stephen Pritchard. Sustainability and energy efficient IT is very high up the agenda for many companies today, and joining me now to discuss this is the Head of Sustainable Computing and Innovation at Hewlett-Packard, Ian Brooks. Ian, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us.
Hi, pleased to be here.
Why is it that you would say sustainable computing is still high up the agenda, even given the more difficult economic climate we find ourselves in right now?
Well, I think there's a number of drivers in this. I think some of the drivers are based on impending legislation. You've got recommendations like the European Data Center Code of Conduct, which are allowing CIOs to look at best-in-class attributes of good data centers and good data center management. You've also got legislational effects. So you've got the UK's carbon reduction commitment, which comes into effect in early April and will demand that the top 10,000 energy users in Britain manage their own carbon footprint and actively submit a plan to reduce. These initiatives and these pressures are being added to stakeholder pressure and consumer pressure on companies to be more energy efficient, more sustainable.
Have you seen any sort of reduction in interest in terms of energy efficient IT or environmentally sustainable IT as a result of cutting IT budgets by large companies? Has that had any real impact on you so far?
Well, it's interesting, actually. We're seeing slightly the opposite. I was with three major CIOs of major global corporations in recent weeks, and they've all been through their IT budget cuts, and sustainable computing or green IT, energy efficient IT, is after the cut, and it's still being actively pursued.
And obviously there's no denying the fact that the economic environment is a little bit tough at the moment for many companies. Has that translated in any sort of drop-off in interest in green IT or sustainable technology as far as HP is concerned?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, we're seeing somewhat the reverse. We're seeing, for two reasons, I think. The energy efficiency factor is driving people to look at reducing costs, and data center costs, energy costs are a huge factor of corporation bills. So we're seeing a focus on any technology that helps improve energy efficiency, and we're also seeing that companies are trying to do the right thing.
Also, some of these innovations are relatively quick to implement, but others, such as redesigning a data center or planning a new generation of data center builds, it's at least 5 years out, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be, although there are some examples where you can do things quickly. If you have specific hot racks, then using a modular cooling system like the rack beside us allows you to then water chill that one particular rack that's particularly hot, and you can then raise the temperature of the data center cooling system, so you're actually then saving a great deal of energy in terms of cooling.
In fact, we're sat right in front of this rack and it's putting off quite a lot of heat as we speak. So some of these innovations can be quite localized then. And where would you start as an IT director in terms of identifying some of the immediate problem areas that you could maybe come up with some short-term fixes that are not horrendously expensive?
Well, the best thing to do is to start looking at your data center as a whole, as a unit, since that's a major consumer of power within an enterprise. If you look at the data center, you can use a metric such as the power usage effectiveness, or PUE. There's also a ratio called DCIE. These are ratios of how efficient your data center is. Once you start analyzing these ratios and understanding on a scale of 1 to 3, 1 to 4, how good are you, you can look at then which are the best areas to improve. That could be in terms of looking at C-class blade technologies, which are very, very efficient in terms of power and cooling. It could be in terms of looking at highly efficient uninterruptible power supplies, the water-cooled rack units, and then you can look at the services requirements. So how have you designed your data center? Are there more optimal ways of configuring the chill points, the set points, the airflow? Can you do a thermal assessment and look at which airflow goes where? How hot are the racks? So there's both a services and a technology answer to fixing this. And these can be retrofitted to existing data centers. They don't demand a complete throw away and start again.
Obviously doing the right thing is important for all companies, but clearly boards also want to know that the CIO is doing the right thing financially for the company, for its shareholders. From your own experience at HP and also the feedback from your customers, what sort of results have companies actually been able to achieve in terms of reducing data center cost through making the IT function more sustainable?
Yes, well, in terms of actual external customers, I haven't got the figures to hand, but in terms of HP's own data center transformation, we've transformed our own internal IT systems over the past 2.5 years, and the energy reduction for HP's data centers is around 60%. And that's 60% of a great deal of money for HP, and that money can then be diverted into other projects such as research, innovation, and taking the company forward.
Now, we'd expect you to be best in class, but could an average business hope to achieve 50% plus? Is that realistic? And in what sort of timescale as well?
You can certainly end up getting around the mid-30s to 40%, but obviously it does depend on where you start. If your data center is 20 years old and doesn't have any of the current management practices and facilities practices, plus the internal IT is badly configured, you could perhaps indeed approach 40+%. But for most people, you're talking around about a 30% improvement gain that's available through consolidating servers, virtualizing, and having efficient cooling systems.
And I think that management layer is absolutely critical, isn't it? Because a lot of the attention goes on to the build, construction design, the lead certification of the data center itself, for example, the design of the hot and cold aisles, the modular cooling and the system that's just behind us there. But actually the management layer, how you deploy your IT and how you run your IT, which is software driven, is also very, very important. And can you just explain how that fits into the overall sustainability strategy as you see it?
Yes. So the ultimate ideal, the nirvana, if you like, in terms of a data center is having modules within the data center that can scale out as the business requirement grows and scale back when the business requirement's less. And some of the adaptive infrastructure technologies allow you, the architecture almost to sort of breathe based on incoming business demand. And obviously the ideal in this is matching the server power utilization with incoming business need. And if you can do that with the management software deployment technologies, that's the perfect answer.
And in the last couple of months, we have seen a quite rapid decline in the price of oil and therefore the price of electricity, but most economists expect it to come back up, maybe not to 2007, 2008 levels, but certainly to come back up as the economy recovers. Should CIOs be acting now to protect themselves against those possible higher energy costs in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like to prejudge the long-term price of oil, but I would certainly expect, if you look at the leading plaudits, they all expect it to go up again. And actually, the price of electricity relative to the price of oil hasn't dropped by anywhere near as much. The CIO is still being hit by power costs, and I think the oil prices are going to track back if you look at any of the external data. So I think now's the time. There is some capacity in the data center, there's some resource. You're able to get the money to pursue improvement plans. Now's a good time to start producing those plans and implementing them prior to the legislational requirements of April next year.
So if there's a key message for CIOs, it would be to keep monitoring your systems, to maintain investment and to ensure that you're moving towards a more sustainable model.
Yeah, that's right. So start thinking about the PUE. Start looking at your data center as a building block. Measure how efficient the data center is. Once you know you're inefficient, then start looking at what could you do to the facility, the IT components within it. Well, how can you change the airflow, the set points of air conditioning, and look at the whole thing as a holistic package. Once you've done that, then you're on the winner.
Ian Brooks from HP, thank you very much.
Thank you.